Peter. How are you?
Hello, Heinrich. How is going today?
Oh, fantastic. We have a new guest. This time, not one. We have two people coming to our BIM Cafe. So excited to do this interview.
Very good. Yeah, I just need to tell me who we have today because I think this is something which will be again hot topic and hot discussion as the last time. So let me know.
Perfect. So we're going to introduce now Bruno and Paul. They're both coming from the software company Revitzo, and they're going to help us to see how the solution can fit the market to make it better and more digitalized. How to make the use of BIM through a business tool. So let's welcome them already, Bruno Guzzo and Paul Ehret. Welcome to the BIM Cafe, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Pleasure to be here.
Wow. So you are experienced in BIM and just architecture and driving all of digitization across the world. My God, this is really will be a good discussion. I'm just looking forward for your experience. And as you guys know, we know already what BIM is, so that's positive. We haven't found the money, and right now we need to figure out how to really just go for the transformation of the construction industry. So this is where we are as of today.
Perfect.
Are you sure you already know what BIM is? Just kidding.
No,
I'm learning every day. I'm learning
not.
every day.
Tell us what is BIM for you, Paul? What is BIM for you?
That's what I'm saying. I'm learning every day. Things are changing and evolving. I thought I was doing BIM since 10, 15 years, but every other year there's just a lot of new things. So I think that's the most important from whatever we're doing with software and technology. Things are changing and we have to keep up to date. That's the most important.
Fantastic. Well, let's present.
I like the challenge. Yeah.
Perfect. Let's introduce the interview. As I said, Bruno Guzzo and Paul Ehret. Sorry if I don't spell correctly your name, guys.
That's good.
Good. Well done. So we're gonna talk after your presentation. Will be by yourself. We're gonna talk about BDC, a new acronym. Wow, people start to get scared. I saw that in your job title, Paul, and I said, "What the heck is BDC?" So I need to Google it and say, "Okay, this is a good point for him to explain it because if it's in your job title description, it should be something important related to BIM, I guess." And then we're going to talk about the solution itself of Revitzo and how it helps the workflow, what we call here the 3C: collaboration, communication, and coordination. And the solution itself, how it can help the market. So let's start by yourself, guys. I'm going to leave you the floor, the microphone. Introduce yourself. Who are you and what you guys are doing here?
Okay, I go first. I'm Bruno Guzzo. Well, I'm based in Switzerland. I'm in charge of the commercial aspect for Revitzo, for the French-speaking part of Switzerland, and also Spain. I've been working on many years on field, directly on field. I was installing industrial ventilation ducts for a professional kitchen. So I have a kind of experience of what is working without BIM, without coordination on the field, and it was so frustrating when I learned about Revitzo and the capabilities of such a tool. And why now I pass on the other side, trying to help the companies in the sector to can improve their way of working, to can digitize their solutions and their way of working, to bring some more efficiency and this aspect.
Your turn, Paul.
Yeah, I'm Paul Ehret. As you can see written here, I'm an architect. Originally trained as an architect, and yeah, on that picture I gave you a bit of a young picture. I guess it was 12 or almost 15 years ago when I was
you look younger on the camera. No worries. You look younger.
Well, a young, I wouldn't say BIMer, but I was just an architect already working for more for a consulting company, a bit of a spin-off from an architect, quite a famous architect for Frank Gehry. So the company was called Gehry Technologies, and we were part of the first one trying to implement design solutions to adapt. I don't know if you're aware of that kind of architecture, but Frank Gehry's architecture is quite notorious to be everything but not functional, but quite more formal, and have a bit of a geometrical and construction hard topics. So basically, that was before BIM existed. We talked about PLM from other industries at that time. And Gary's architecture was basically not just saying, why don't you try working in 3D? But it was no way around for these people working in 3D in terms of design and construction, because yeah, if you know these shapes, try to build them out of a pen and a piece of paper or out of AutoCAD, you're going to run into a lot of problems. So yeah, so that was 10, 15 years ago with tools that were taken from another industry, which is more from aerospatial or Formula One and industries that have nothing to do with construction. Construction is a bit more, let's say, organic, right? But now I guess 12, 15 years later, we start having our own tools. Before we used to do transgressing or to take tools from others industry and see how we can apply to construction. And at that time it was called CATIA, like a Dassault Systems software that it's super powerful, but the learning curve quite too steep, really, like according to the construction industry needs. So yeah, nowadays we start having tools that are a little more within that environment or context of construction, where things have to go fast, and sometimes you have to build fast, quick and dirty. Even though if you want to build nicely, there are always so many changes when you do a project that are, splashing your screen every other day, and you need quick and fast learning tools like Revitzo, where you can actually start addressing these issues right away and know who did that problem, who's responsible, then assign it to the right person.
This is, I like the way you describe construction, unless you call it organic, very polite way to say old and antiquated.
That's what my boss was saying 15 years ago. He was not to say it's a mess. It is very organic. And you need, anyways.
I like the political aspect of it. I like the very much political aspect of it, saying organic. Yeah, you're right. But over the last couple of months, when we were just talking with the different guys, and we have a different background, I'm just coming more on the technology side, Mika is more from engineering side. We have the many architects and many people we spoke about it. I think the one conclusion is that, as you said, it's very organic, that's for sure. And I think we also found that the tools itself, it's not the best really way to start in talking about BIM. If their companies are not willing to think about the process and think about how the way to improve their way of working, etc., you will never be able just to go through the modeling, etc., etc. So it's just, I think that's the mindset of the people heads. It's what's the most important really, and how it works. But let me just pause for a second. So you guys are just the experts in the processes and the tools, etc., which is great to see. But based on your career, based on the way how you just went through this, what was the biggest challenge which you saw on the client side, when you start talking about the BIM? What was the thing saying, my God, again, these guys come in, again, they talking about BIM. Gee, come on, go away.
I mean, on my side, sorry, Bruno, I take over that one.
Yes.
But again, I would just always quote an experience that was 10, 12 years ago when we didn't talk about BIM, but we were in this sort of like parametric world back in the days. And Rhino, Grasshopper, CATIA, like associative modeling. And that was already a bit of progress. BIM is doing this parametric part, like it's one part of what we call BIM today. But anyways, so we were trying to implement that and to have, these complex shapes, then just to move a couple of parameters so you can accommodate from the architect's point of view and also have the client happy, but also accommodate the design to make it more buildable. That's a very simple way of saying what we went through for that. But yeah, at some point you can do any nice clean system, and as you said, if the politics are not ready, parametrics can't help. So that we had a client that was really rough, and he was just scrapping the project every other 2 weeks, reducing costs. And you can build the best weapon you want. If it's not adapted to actually what you're trying to achieve, you're out of the game. So yeah, and I was saying after that experience, I was always saying I will write maybe a book called Parametrics and Politics. So I think it's the same thing for BIM
Okay.
Cafe.
That's
yeah.
good. No, it's in fact, I think we all have the same kind of period in our lives when we can just write this book like you were just mentioning. So I think it's good. So we went through the very similar stages, I think, in our experience. But Bruno, from your perspective, what do you think? What was this like the horrible moment in life when you just start talking about BIM? You have the different perspective. Right now, you're just looking at the commercial side. You try to convince people to buy the tools. So just what was your worst experience in this?
Well, I would say the worst experience, and when people doesn't know anything about BIM. So that show there is a huge difference between some companies inside the same industry. We used to face some customers in different areas, and they don't know anything about BIM. For them, BIM it's only 3D modeling, and that's it. So we have a huge a huge task in Revitzo, and in the way that we introduce the BIM and the functionalities and advantages of this kind of way of working, of methodology, because it's not only 3D modeling, it's not only a tool, it's a whole methodology, and we have to imply all the company inside. If the C-level, if the CEOs of the company, if the management of the companies are not aware about it, or are not willing to dive deep in this methodology, there's nothing to do at the end.
Okay. So I think that's great. So sorry.
I might not completely agree with Bruno. I would say it's easier to get somebody get into BIM with have no idea or very little idea about it than when you face somebody who think he already tried BIM and obviously did not succeed for multiple reasons. Then it's really hard. And I think that's part of the reasons why BIM takes a long time to take off, because there's a lot of frustrated people after their first experience.
That's true.
A lot of frustrated people. Yes, I agree. And a lot of frustrated investors as well, because some of the solution can cost a hell of a lot of money, and at the end, the results are not really sure. So that's also the interesting part. Enrique, your turn, I think.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just commenting what you just said. I would always think, again, my boss from 12 years ago, he was saying, what he was saying was people, tools, and solutions. So it's not just solutions or softwares, it's also people. And when your people don't know and say they know, but they don't know, that's what roots the business.
I agree.
We also have same comments from other visitors as well. These people, tools, and solutions. Let me use something both before carry on with the interview. After Bruno and Paul and Bruno, you mentioned something, Bruno, Paul, sorry, very interesting, saying that there's many frustrating people, and those ones are very hard to convince to jump into BIM. And I agree with that. Not people who already try BIM in not a correct way, so they spend few thousands of euros or pounds or whatever on licenses and people, and then they say there's no result, of course, because you don't do it wisely. Why that happened? Why did it happen? What was the problem that BIM came into the market? Did it came with false hopes? Was implemented wrongly? Why some people jump into BIM so quickly and so badly?
I think it's a bit related to what I just said, is that it's not an easy task to jump into BIM. There's a lot of different aspects. And what I say in the beginning, like, I still don't know what BIM is, half being funny there, but still, it's an evolving business and industry. And people, to get into BIM, they need to be surrounded by other people who know what to do. And if these people who say that they know what to do, why they can't or they don't, then that's what gets people into trouble. So it's a bit of it needs to have some time when these people think they know and they don't, they have to run out of business to finally have everybody step up and slowly gain in maturity and experience. Then it's actually the real makers that are on the market helping the ones that have actually no idea. So, and it takes about 2-3 years for this. So the first wave of incompetency to go up. I don't think it's too much software related. That part is clearly the people. The software then is a complete different matter. And as I said in the introduction, I think now we start having tool like Revitzo that are getting much easier to get into and actually tend to solve more problems than creating many.
Yeah, no, I think I am sorry, Enrique. Just one of the things which Paul, I agree with you and disagree in this other sense, right? I hear what you're saying. You don't know what BIM is, and I understand it because that's the evolution of technology, right? And technology change. So this is normal that you can question it. What is BIM? But from the other aspect, it's just you need to have the frame, right? If you do not have the framework, framework of thinking about the transformation, I think then you will be. I think we understood I think we understand today what the framework is and how they're supposed to really attack it. So you mentioned already the human part, you mentioned the people, the solution, the tools, etc., getting together, environment. And I think this is the frame. The rest, I think what we don't know still, where we can reach these things and what will be the next stage. What will be, again, I will just give the example of the bots, right? For the last 5 years, we use all of the bots. Right now, you have the chat GPT. Everybody is just excited because the chat can just answer you in the human way, right? We still have the same capabilities like 5 years ago. That just nothing changed in terms of even the algorithms, by the way. But you have the different way of presenting it. So I think this is where we are in BIM. I think you're right. We don't know what BIM is, what the capacity of this thing is. But I think we are just already started. I think when we discuss, guys, with the architects, again, with all of the people which really like yourself, which develop it and which sell it to clients or building of clients, I think we see the framework already in place, but we don't know where we can finish, really. We don't know the end game, really, of the whole industry. Wow. That was my view of the world.
That's an speech, Pietro, yeah. Fantastic.
Question? Sorry.
What was the question again? It was not a question, it was an open reflection.
No, that's open reflection. No, I'm not. It depends. Sometimes, you just thought, build my thought process about this. So no questions.
Fantastic. Well, let's carry on to make things more complicated. We say like introducing new acronyms to the construction industry. For me, it makes it harder, no? Because I need to stop and Google it, and it drew my attention this VDC, virtual design and construction. I don't think I recall it before that, and I saw Paul in your profile and I said, okay, then I really understand. It's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. It's virtual design and construction, and BIM, of course, is a part of it. So as I said here on the slides, VDC is part of technology. And how do you guys face this? Like how in Revitzo come using what we call virtual? People think about VR or augmented reality. Is this what we're talking about, or 3D models only? What is it?
Bruno?
Or Bruno?
Yeah, I take the point. Okay.
Yes.
Well, visual design, it means that it's not on paper. It's already a next step into the design phase, the design phases of a construction model, of a construction building project. So we have to complete this BIM methodology with some tools, and we come there with our kind of solution to complete that and to support this new way of working. That's almost what I can say. And for that, we have in some customers' side, we have some people who are VDC managers who are just in charge to find this kind of solutions and to see how they can implement it, how it can fit with their known workflows. And we have other customers who don't have this kind of jobs or job title, and maybe it's not so focused, but they always try to put in place a determined workflow to can work the easiest way and to have the best efficiencies.
Okay, so is it something that goes beyond BIM, right? Like the VDC manager, in this case for you, Paul, VDC implementation person responsible for that, is something more than BIM, just taking all the different digital tools in consideration to apply to the construction.
Yeah, I mean, I guess would I just never in the introduction define what a VDC manager is, but yeah, I guess it's is trying to speak to a lot of people and trying to just get get their attention, and a lot of pedagogy, and yeah, at the same time we work a lot with clients, but at the same time we work a lot with our development team. So we are just really in the middle, where as both worlds are evolving, as construction as the software, we are the in-between guys who are always jumping from one to another, and part of these hybrid jobs and his hybrid kind of knowledge that appeared with the digital transformation, where I'm a bit of an architect, I'm a little bit of an engineer, I'm a little bit of a software, whatever what it's called, but yeah, and at the end it's all about understanding workflows, and I would say like BIM workflow is a bit of a word that we hear a lot, and it means a lot, because this is really what it is about, the everyday life of people that are getting into digital transformation. They're trying to find their new workflows, okay? And my role is to try to understand the workflow they were having prior that we came in, to understand how much we can push or challenge or change these habits and these workflows, and more than anything, have also their feedback, and me to learn from them, and to understand what is the specificity of this company, what do they need from us, our product, so the transformation actually happens in the smoothest way possible.
Okay. That all sounds convincing for me. So I don't think so. So when you think about it, how I can use it being on the construction side. So this is because I saw the guy who is sitting on the construction. So that you can go for the system in all of the cycles of from the architecture, from the design through the planning till the construction, or that's only going on the design side.
I mean, we cover every single aspect of construction, from design side to construction side, all the way to facility management. Okay, of course, it would be a lie to say we do everything better than anybody. Every single software has his specialties and his niche of specificity or advantages respect to others. Our niche is coordination, right? Is bringing a common interface so people can work around anybody's information. You can be a guy on site, you can be a designer, you can be the client itself. How do you access the information of the project you're actually trying to build? Okay, doesn't matter if you work in 2D, if you work in 3D, if you're on ArchiCAD, on TechLab or Rhino. It needs to have, if you want to work on something, you need to know what's going on. All right, and that's the hardest thing with BIM. You don't know which model is what, where is the file or that document, and we are facilitating that. We're doing, we're democratizing, and we built an interface that is facilitating access to the information of a current moment on a construction site, on design part or facility management.
Okay. Okay, and in the way how because what we discover, some of the tools are just really well working in the office, but when you go and you know better than me, when you go to the construction field, and when you're in the construction, it's so difficult sometimes just to reconcile the things which you have on the iPad or whatever on the computer with the physical, with the reality, that some of the software didn't really just play well on the field. So have you guys tried just working this on the field as well, so just that people can run it on the construction as well?
So we have a lot of examples of Revitzo use on the fields. We have the same application that works on iPads, so you can do quite a lot already in immediate sort of information checking. But in order to engage this even more, we are releasing our iPhone. Let's say how do you say it? Smartphone, because in Switzerland they have a very specific name for it called Natel, a smartphone. So we'll have a smartphone application from April 12th, and this will be the ultimate weapon for people to get on site, because everybody has a smartphone, right? And everybody knows how to use it. We designed it in a way that you can just go around your model, do everything you can do on the computer. You'll be able to do it with your smartphone just with one finger. Okay. And I've been already seeing how much progress we're doing in convincing people or getting the people to understand what we're doing. I'm just having dinners with my friends and, hey, look, we just released this. And then they're right away, oh, let me see. Hey, can I buy it? It's just the ultimate weapon of convincing people. It's just on the tip of your finger. And this will change quite a lot. But we already on site quite extensively. We have many use cases, airports, any kind of project, like a lot of infrastructure. And of course, it's not easy. But the more democratizing you are, hence doing these things, the more people are getting involved. And if you can't get people involved around your technology, your processes, your workflow, then you're out of, you're out of the game.
Okay.
If
No,
I
it
can add
sounds
something.
interesting. Sure, Bruno. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thanks. If I can add something about the steps, the construction process, and the different steps in the construction, the main challenges we face, and it has been demonstrated by association like Building Smart, we have close processed. So the part of the strategic definition, the part of preparation and brief, concept design, pre-design, design, construction, they are closed. They are not. They don't use to communicate between them, and each time we are missing some data some information between these different steps. And for customers, it's really hard when you are just in charge of the construction aspect, like you said, Peter, to take back all this information, which was already done by others, and to can have all this information, to can have access to this information, to can make a good construction, for example, or a good facility management. And with a tool, we can cover all this process. It could be very useful for the customers to can have the same information since the beginning of the project till the end. We're not closing per process, per steps.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So that sounds pretty interesting from your openness to collaborate. So that you adding aspect of collaborating between the different silo, which usually breaking everything on the construction side. So that's great. I think that sounds very promising. And what's just your main, because I saw that, guys, you did it the first user conference, I think this year in somewhere in February, right? What was really the main things which were coming out of this big event which you guys did? I hope I'm not mistaken, but let's try, just give me a poker right now.
Yeah, that's true. We made in late February our first Rev Up. It was an international event, a worldwide event in Dallas. It has been a success. Many customers from around the world went to visit us there. The idea was to share knowledge. Basically, we wanted to have this space to can talk about case studies, success. We also have a slot to can train some customers and to have this exchange to can improve our solution. We as you may know, we are independent and we are very focused on our customers, and it's a must for us to can have these feedbacks from our customers to can improve the solution in what they really need. So we have around 200 people there for the first edition, and for sure we'll renew it on next year. And by the way, we have also that was the first one, international worldwide event, but we used to make smallest event around the world, different according our areas. Maybe we have 1, 2, 3 depending the territory, and we have smallest event, more national events, where we try to speak about BIM. It's not only speaking about Revitzo, because that doesn't make sense just to speak about Revitzo. We want this input, yes, to can talk about it, to can exchange, to can have these feedbacks and exchange the knowledge.
Bruno or Paul, what is the main feature, the main resource that people thanks to Revitzo of their use? Like, for example, clash detections, or going to the site and be able to see the virtual reality of the future construction, which is the main feedback that you guys get. This is the best feedback. They really help us with exactly this.
I think the first wow effect is when you go into what Americans call hyper modeling, which is when you are reviewing plans in 2D and actually you click on the little greenhouse on the bottom left of the screen, and then it actually projects the plan in 3D, right? And that annihilates every kind of question where people are like, oh, but are we talking about 3D, 5D, 4D, and what about 2D kind of things? Yeah. Anyways, that's the first wow effect, I would say. Then the other thing would be say that we're completely integrated, and it's not just Clash, it's not just 3D, 2D, it's not just it's the whole thing that is just bringing around the collaboration module, which is an issue. We call it mondially an issue, right? Around an issue, you're always one click away to every single document or any single drawing where can be the answer to your question. And that's what we do best.
Fantastic. So let me show, because you guys mentioned already a few times the word collaboration, and it's something you already mentioned a lot. We try to define and educate about BIM, and something we call here the 3 Cs: communication, coordination, and collaborative processes. This is what trying so then to solve with Revitzo, right? Like making all this from the human interaction, everything is organized, accessible, and into this cloud, no? As the timeline shows there.
Yes, totally. Usually the customers or the old way of working was more human interaction, with mail, with pictures, with meetings, with paper notes, and we try to re-implement that, to have just a unique platform, unique interface, where you can find all this information with all the traceability you need on each project. Because when you work with basically the basic human interaction, you may lose some information, maybe because maybe you will send a mail to a person who is out for holidays, and he will not answer in the time, and you don't have any traceability, because if you send a mail to this person, the other one won't be in copy or won't be aware that the information is passed through this person. So we try to enforce and empower this community, the project community, where everybody can share and exchange inside the same interface, and with all the historic that you can find inside.
And more importantly, if I can add something, the fact of channeling the way information is communicated. These issues, as I mentioned before, are like little pins in the 3D model or in the 2D plans. Basically means that it's not only facilitating information or exchange while you're doing it, but more than anything, it's actually facilitating on the long run. So if you hire somebody new, that person can just browse through the models and through the 2D and click on every single of these pins and learn about the entire history of the whole project.
This sounds like, I mean, I'm totally in, right? But I guess that to have such a control and track of all the different tasks within the project, with normally you have, I don't know, a dozen or more companies involved, it really is to be a very big education and follow up, making right that everyone is really delivering the information to this common server or common platform. Because otherwise, if someone just send a document separately or don't communicate the changes or something like that, everything is now then not coordinated. So this is very weak. It is that weak. How do you manage that everyone needs to be working on the same platform? Because this is a huge task of education and consistency to run projects with using the solution.
I mean,
one thing, Sweden, what I sorry, go ahead, Paul. No, I'm because I try to think through this. Sorry, I apologize for just interrupting you. But the one thing we can see here, it's important because it's within the construction. But I try to think about where are always the problems, and the problems are the interfaces, and not only the human one, but with the different manufacturers, for example, right? So, if you will think about it, if I will just try to to run my perfect construction site. I will put my emphasis, how I will communicate with the suppliers to make sure that there is a good quality coming. There is a things what it's in the design, that it's coming really on site, etc., etc., etc. How are you guys solving this kind of issues? Is there any way to help the construction folks to work on this?
I mean, yeah, it's all about inputs and outputs. And I guess as a facilitator or a platform integrating data from different sources, that's what our programmers work, right? That's the basic of the digital change. You are in the middle, you have somebody getting in, and you need to just give something else out to the next guy on the chain, right? And this is what we do. We try to just have, again, this common interface that gets anything possible, or at least the main guys on the market, the Autodesk, the tech class stuff, and all of this, with the least manual processes possible. So everything is, you can plan stuff, schedule it, so you don't need to worry about things not getting up to date anymore. And then you need to also prepare that information for the next person online. How does he want to have it? How often does he need to access it? Every week, every day, and etc., etc., etc. So yeah, for some people that would say try to build an idiot-proof sort of workflow where you don't want to spend your time looking for files or checking if the file is actually the current one. You just want to spend your time and your energy in actually focus on the solving project problems, right? Geometrical interfaces or details not drawn properly. This is what you want to do, right? So once you can forget about the whole like coming in and coming out, what kind of information is coming through? Does it come through well or not? This is my job to actually ensure that what you need is being delivered by our software. So then you can clearly start working on your project.
Okay, got it. No, I'm just trying to think about it, because there is, you don't have to. So as a, I'm working as the construction the director on the site, and I try just to convince all of the people to give me the right data. Usually that's not possible, because my priority is just to make sure that the whole construction site is going, and I don't have the time to talk to the suppliers and to all of the other guys. So usually, I try to figure out right now how we can help them, how we can help this poor guy, that he will spend less time really of chasing the people around, and just give me the right data, So I'm just trying to figure out if there is any way in the tool to really just do this. I don't know, the dashboards, or just the default reports, or any KPIs which can show, okay, let's don't work with this vendor anymore, this supplier anymore, because he's always is giving the crap information, etc., etc. I try to figure out if there is something practical.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would always think the earlier is the better. You don't want to have a phone call. We always talk about this as being a fireman job, like 12 years ago, where people were trying to work without 3D. And it's like, yeah, I can do it on my own. I have 40 years of work, and until they hit a wall, they would be like, yeah, don't worry. So 10 years ago, actually, we always had these fireman kind of like last call things, and that's how we were making money. Now things have changed. I think there's a little more education, and more and more people start embracing BIM or data and setting up workflows earlier on than when they're on site. And that's exactly what I was saying before. You have BIM execution plans, which makes that people agrees on the workflow. It should not be a copy and paste for another project. It needs to be a common discussion early on. Who are working on that project? What tools are they using? And it's a slow building process where you build a brick after one other on each construction site. So if the guy goes on site and he has the wrong data, I'd say that's too late.
So I mean, too late to help.
Okay, got it.
And now, one question, maybe more to Bruno, as a business developer here. This solution, as I was saying before, needs to be implemented for the whole project. So many company contractor works on that. who is your target persona for delivering this in a project? So it will be like the main contractor guy, the main facility manager, the one who needs to tell everyone, hey, use this platform for any single documentation data transfer you want to use within the project. Who is this kind of a company or role?
I would say it's very linked to the territory. I think that each country has its way of working. For example, here in Switzerland, usually the architects are responsible of the project. My colleagues in the US are more in contact in the construction companies who are in charge to make the clash detection and to ensure that the project is running well before doing the construction. So it depends. It depends. We made a tool which is very simple to use. We already have some owners who purchased the solution for themselves, and they ask the different companies to make the project to coordinate the project on this tool. Because it's simple to use. You don't need to be architects or engineers to understand how it works and easily pick the information you need. Yes, we are in contact with BIM managers. We are in contact with BIM coordinators, with VDC managers, with head of digital, depending on the size of the company. We are in contact with architects. We are in contact with project managers. It really depends on the size of the project, because this solution is for every project. It could be small as the biggest one. So it really depends on the companies, honestly.
Okay, good. And I guess let's have a bit of a business model here. Do you guys sell the solution as full access for the same price, or is depending, as you said, for a small project maybe you require less features? They can have access with for less in a way,
So as you say, it's a collaborating tool. So we want to give the full access to as many people as need to be involved in this project. So we have a kind of project-based licenses. For each project, we deliver full access. There is no limitation on the storage, so we can manage very, very big projects. Furthermore, the technology we have inside, we use video games motor to can run the platform. So we have huge projects with many gigas in it, so there is no problem for that. And our pricing is going in function of the cost of the project. Like that, there is no what can I say? Yes, the value, the added value you will have using this kind of solution is depending on the size of the project. Because on the small project, you're going to involve less people, maybe 5 to 10. But on some billions project, multi-billions project, you will invite maybe 200 or 300 people in the project. So the added value is much higher. So we make the price different depending on the value cost.
And how is the training working? Because if this is the platform, so that's another platform what we need to learn, right? So how much time it takes for the user to start using it, really, and just to make sure that they understand.
Half an hour.
If you just talk about the 100 people project, let's say.
Half an hour. In half an hour, you know really quite a lot. Like technically, we have 2 standard trainings. Let's say 3. One is basic training. The other one is advanced. But basic training is 1 hour, and we already reduced every single tool of normal interface of Revitzo. Then we have a bit of a more advanced interface of Revitzo, where you can play around with the object metadata, like attributes, and start building up search sets and grouping objects in a future way of creating clash sets. And that's more the advanced one. But yeah, I would always say,
wow.
Yeah.
Half an hour, no? There's nothing. It's easier to learn Revitzo than to just build a wall, draw a wall in Revit.
No, he's exaggerating because of the
hopefully, yes. Revit is not easy.
No, that's why I said. That's why I said in half an hour you just know how to draw a wall.
It's not a piece of cake.
Totally no. Okay, so talking about specific software, let me just display our last slide. One of the main powers of the solution Revitzo is an interoperability and the possibility that you can work with so many different software and formats in the market, also having plugins for so many software. how you guys made this development. You need to contact all the different companies existing in the construction world to make the compatibility. How so it's important. I think it's important for you to deliver this to the market, right?
Yes, as our CEO used to say, we are friends with everyone. So we use the API from the softwares. They are mainly free, and we develop some plugins to can automatize the process between these softwares to the platform. That's how it works. And of course, we cannot work only in closed BIM, so we need and we had to integrate BCF and IFC to can manage the open BIM. We can export an IFC also. We can import BCF. So we are fully open and closed BIM solution. That was a point. And yes, at the beginning of the project, when you're on pre-design phase or design phases, there is always the ping pong between the designers, the project manager, because there is something to modify and so on. And working with IFC is a kind of limitation in this parts of the project, because it obliges to convert the data. Maybe if they are not well organized, you may lose some data. Like that, with the plugins on this phase of pre-design and design, you can go this ping pong directly, because we have the switchback bidirectional link between the platform and the software, to can go directly on the right side on the software, to can make the modification and then export again the new model. And when we're done and the model is pretty good, we can export it with federated models, for example, an IFC, and like that we can work with some GMAO, for example, or with some other tools. And for us, it's very important to be to be everywhere, to can cover these aspects where many companies are involved in the same project. Everyone maybe is working on his own. It's certainly is working on his own with his own tools, and they don't want to spend, because I want to work with you, I don't want to spend money and time to change my way of working, to change my tools, because I used to use ArchiCAD or Revit or Tekla, and I prefer to stay on what I know, my tools. And if I can export it to a common platform where all the document can be read, and where you can make the coordination based on that, it's a plus.
Okay.
Friends with everyone.
Just a question about the BIM 360. This is the AutoCAD, right? That's what the integration is.
Is with Autodesk.
Autodesk,
We have it's
Autodesk.
more,
Sorry, Autodesk.
yes.
No, sorry.
It's more an American,
Okay.
Australian thinking of way of thinking. Then in the US, for example, they used to put a CDE on a port and a collaborative platform on another port. The CDE is to keep the legal aspect of the project, where you have all the drawings and all the legal contract and so on. And the platform is to make exclusively the coordination. And so we make this integration with this tool. We have BIM 360, we have Box, we have Procore, we have SharePoint also. We know that we will have to develop more and more, because there is so many CD everywhere in the world, and sometimes for really specific markets, they used to use some specific CD. But the idea is to can collaborate, to can integrate the data and mainly the drawings from the CD to the platform, like that you don't have to care about the versioning of the drawing, for example, and the model will be uploaded directly from the software with the plugins and the direct link, because if you lose the multi-directional, the bidirectional link with the software, you lose an added value on the product, and like that you have a whole package.
Okay, makes sense. No, I understand the split. Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. So, guys, we're hitting the end of the interview. I'm gonna play a bit of background music, a way to light the lights on the club and say people to goodbye. Anything else you want to add, or you're satisfied with the time spent at the BIM Cafe?
It was a pleasure to be here and to discuss with you. I don't know if there are some many Spanish people will be in Rebuild this month, at the end of this month. So maybe we'll see you there.
So will we too. We'll see each other again, Bruno. Yeah.
Great.
Fantastic. So
thank you very much, guys. It was a pleasure to have you. We hope that we didn't define what the BIM is. That's what Paul said, so that's great. I still believe that we can just make a little step-by-step progress to just going closer to the final BIM definition in the world, which will make everybody happy. Makes me happy, at least. So I hope it will be good. Thank you very much for your kind answers, and thank you for the discussion. Looking forward to see you in presence and in Madrid. And have a great day, guys.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day, everyone, guys.
Bye.
See you.